Back again. 6 days off work, here we go. Well, here it is again. First impressions. It's going to be very hard to tell because it's wet. After almost 3 months and 6 days off work, and over, what did I do? Probably about, 5-6 visits of the actual NRMA repair hub. The car is finally fixed properly. The Aurion is finally fixed properly. They have resprayed the front bumper bar, and they've purchased a new front bumper bar and associated parts with that. So the fog lights are still the same as they were untouched from the accident. The grille is still the same, but yeah, they've got a new bumper. They've painted it pretty well that I can see. It was hard when I picked up the car, and I'll show you the footage from that. When I actually picked up the car, it was pouring rain and it was really cold, so it was really hard to tell. I tried to have a good look at it, but just couldn't see it till it's dry. But yeah, happy to report that it seems to be all good now. I probably should look under the car at a stage, pull the plastic cover off and have a look in there, make sure they've screwed everything in properly. I suppose I'm going to do that on my own time another time. But yeah, so experience wise, it's been a mixed bag, because the staff are very friendly. The receptionist was amazing. I got 2 hire cars out of it. By the way, this whole thing didn't cost me a cent. So I wasn't at fault. I wasn't an at-fault driver. He was completely at fault, obviously. Even by the police and the insurance company deemed him 100% at fault. There's no what ifs or buts. You have to give way to the lane that you're turning into. And he was trying to turn into the very far right lane because there was an intersection coming up from the very far left lane, and he was previously in the right lane but decided to try to jump a few cars ahead, but didn't work out for him and pushed his way back in and then ended up hitting me. And anyway, I normally let people in, not that I should have to justify myself because it's an open and closed case, but for those who are saying, oh, you could have slowed down and let him in, yes, normally I do, and I did actually back off. You'll see, like if you were to see in the video, I did slightly back off a bit, but I couldn't back off too much because there was a Ford Ranger up my ass who also wanted to turn right, and then there was more cars behind him. So I didn't want to brake heavily because I didn't want to get hit from behind. My wife was in the car and she did scream, and that's why I muted it. And also before that, we were talking about where we were living previously and addresses, and we're just talking about personal stuff, which I didn't think was appropriate to put in the video. And yes, I did honk him as he came across into the lane. Of course, I honked him just to let him know I was there, but it was too late by then. By the time I started slowing down, backing off, and quickly tooted him, we'd already hit. So yeah, that's that side of it covered. Open and closed case, for all that's wondering. But yeah, I do find the whole thing with insurance a bit weird because, like I said, friendly staff, and 9 out of 10 people I dealt with were really good, but I do think it's weird that for a few days I had my car in, they checked it out, then for 2 weeks they had the car. I was getting automated updates saying your car's been disassembled, just through text message, your car's been reassembled, painted, blah blah blah. Okay, cool. They called me a day earlier saying, okay, the car's ready to be picked up. I said, oh sorry, I've only booked to leave for the Friday or whatever. Turn up on the Friday morning the first time, and then that's when I noticed that the bumper bar, they had just reused the old bumper bar, kind of done a shitty job of filling it in with body filler, and then just simply sprayed over the top of it and called it a day. And I could tell from even a few feet away from the car, I was like, oh, have they done a new bumper bar? And then as soon as I got up close, as you saw in the previous videos, I was like, oh no, they have in fact reused the old bumper bar. Like, why? And I spoke with them and they said, oh, apparently we can't get parts for this car anymore, which is bullshit because these cars are everywhere. And although it is an Aurion specific bumper bar, not a Camry bumper bar, because Aurions and Camrys are slightly different with their bumper bars and whatnot. There's plenty of these about. I know I've looked online and there is heaps of genuine bars floating around. Smash repairers quite often still talk about having a few of these left in stock, and the last version of this, either 2016, I'm getting a bit off topic here, but a 2017, it's still 2026, so technically I think car manufacturers have to stock parts for 10 years. So maybe after next year, 2027, because this is a 2016/2017 facelifted model. I can understand them not having any parts available because it's after the 10 years, whatever. But I just thought the whole thing was weird. We couldn't get parts for it. So he pointed to a few other Klugers in the lot that are also there for repairs. They're getting repaired and they're using the same parts as well. And I was like, okay. So he wasn't nasty about it. This is a guy at the repair hub. I just thought it was weird, and I said, hey, if I wanted to chase this up, what do I have to do? And he said, you have to go through your insurance. So fast forward, I end up going through the insurance. They send a private assessor to my house to look at the car in person, and they go, oh yes. So in the contract, which I actually haven't seen the fine print of, apparently there's a clause on there saying they can reuse the parts, which I think's crazy considering it's been through that much trauma, and it just cracks the bumper bar. So you'd think, why not just get a new one for a few $100s more? Anyway, so he had a look at it. He agreed that it was not a very good job, and he called them up and said, okay, we want to take the car back. It's not a very good job. He then called me and said, sometimes with cases like this, if you want a genuine new bar used, you have to pay out of pocket yourself and fill in the difference, which I thought is wild considering, like, if it was an at-fault accident, I could understand, but this is not an at-fault accident. This is technically caused by someone else, and I'm fully insured. So why am I paying for someone else's mistake? And I told him this, like, in a nice way. And he said, yeah, that's a good point. I will organize for them to replace the bar out of goodwill, and you shouldn't have to pay anything. I was like, okay, thank you. That's still a bit weird, but sure, thank you. So he was a nice guy. I won't knock him at all. He was very helpful for me, and he called backwards and forwards to the repairers and let me know in between. So I can't doubt him at all. He was a good guy. Anyway, fast forward to when I pick up the car a few days ago, which again, you'll probably see the footage for. I walked in, the lovely receptionist, I told her, yep, here to pick up the car after the reworks. And then she's like, oh, there might be a bill outstanding. And I was like, oh, bill? Okay. I didn't know of any bill. And she said, hang on, let me check with the boys. And then she came back and said, oh no, it's okay. It got covered internally by insurance. And I was like, okay, thank you, I guess. And checked out the car and drove home. I'm also going to add that I think there's a little bit of internal fraud or something going on with NRMA and the Smash Repairers, which are NRMA branded repair hub Smash Repairer, because when I had, when they originally told me they couldn't get parts, and then suddenly I spoke to this other ombudsman guy who came to my house, and private insurance assessor guy, whatever, he said they definitely can get a new part, but they just didn't want to. And I'm like, then why did they tell me they couldn't get parts anymore, but they actually could? It sounds like they're just making up shitty excuses. So what I think they're doing is, I can't really prove it because I asked for printouts of paperwork and they gave me the paperwork but without prices on there, which is really odd and a bit dodgy looking. But basically what I think is happening is they're charging, well, they're doing the minimal amount of work just to pass the car off, get it back to the customers. And most customers from, are not car people like me. Most people just go, oh yeah, that looks close enough, cool, I'll sign off and take it. But what they're doing is they're actually skipping out on work underneath and just doing the absolute bare freaking minimum they can do to pass it off as being fixed. And then they charge the insurance company the maximum amount of new parts. Because when I got the original estimate, which was near $5,000 just verbally on the phone when I first spoke to them, the insurance company and everything, and when this shit all happened, they said, oh yeah, we'll definitely be using new parts. And then that's why I was also pissed off when I picked up the car, and it's not new parts. They used the same guard, the same bumper, they just painted over it. So I'm just thinking, I think something's happening internally here. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I can't even talk this morning. I'm not into conspiracies. I don't have foil on my head. Like, I'm not one of those people. But to me, this sounds like something is really dodgy that they're trying to cover up. And they probably do this a lot. They do the minimum amount of work and then they charge the maximum price sort of reimbursement internally to the insurance company, so they get paid for the work they haven't done. And they do that with every car, and then eventually they would make heaps of profit because, and I'm sure this happens everywhere. I know I'm not the first, and I know I definitely won't be the last, but NRMA is a really, like, it's a pretty good insurance. Like, they're known to be, in Australia anyway, especially this side of Australia, the east-south side of Australia where I'm living, they're known to be a really, like, top-tier premium insurance company. So the fact that they're doing dodgy, just plainly obvious dodgy stuff like this is just bizarre, because yeah, I just find it so strange that when I questioned them about this stuff, they had no idea what I was talking about, and they treated me like I was crazy. But maybe I should have videoed it, I don't know, and just done a secret video of it. But I'm just warning you all that just really check your clause of your contracts, and just be really careful, especially with car insurance. Because I pay $2,000 a year in car insurance for this car, and yes, it is 10 years old now. Dropping a few hints about what's going on in the back there. But I just want you all to be really careful about what's happening. And this is not just a knock on NRMA. Like, NRMA has normally been really good to me. Their roadside assistance is amazing. They've saved me in the past, although they're a different entity, but they're still using the name. But just be really careful. So I don't know if I'll end up going with another insurance company since this is over now. But yeah, anyway, thanks for listening, I guess. I'll do an update soon.